Okay, I'm gonna try a different type of brain dump where I'm looking for a marker. Hold on. I'm gonna try a different brain dump type of video where I write down the stuff as I talk about it. So I don't know what I'm gonna talk about in this video, but I know that I wanna make a video and I wanna talk about stuff that's on my mind. So one thing I wanna talk about so I'm literally just going to, like, again, this won't make sense, and sorry, I know these videos are kind of weird, but whatever. So ipfs is interplanetary file system. I think everyone should know that. If you're into computer science, I think you should know that. There's not enough people that know what this is, and you should know that. Okay, next thing, literally just going to talk about whatever. I'm gonna stop saying that because this should be obvious by now. Okay, so filecoin is a project, it's a crypto project that is used to facilitate file storage systems like ipfs. What is ipfs? ipfs is interplanetary file system. Interplanetary file system. There's other stuff that you can use. This is a protocol. I need a new marker. And a protocol, again, is just a process. And if we think back to what processes are, it's a functional representation that has inputs, outputs with state over time. I think that's more and more important. Sorry. Okay, so the reason this is important that I think everyone should know it is because, or all like computer science people, is because it's a way of storing data in files, in a decentralized way. And you can compare it to S3 on AWS or Google Cloud Storage with Google Cloud. A lot of people, or I've heard people say, particularly engineering managers at one engineering manager at a FAANG company, who I really respect, by the way, but they kind of argue for a specific, they didn't say anything in particular about this, but this made me think of what they said. And so this could be looked at as like over-engineering a solution. When it comes to privacy stuff, a lot of times in the current tech companies I see, from my perspective, I don't really want to go into that deep, but basically in terms of what's good enough for privacy at a tech corporation that I'm aware of, and it's definitely different depending on what the industry is, like healthcare data and everything, different. But in, I would say, advertising tech companies, which is a broad range, right? But say the advertising business model, the level of privacy is only up to the bar that they have to. So that if you have some privacy bar, the company is really just incentivized to meet the minimum of the bar, like just above the threshold, right? And any work beyond that is over-engineering a solution. But you have to think about what those companies and their leaders' fiduciary responsibility is. It's to minimize expenses and make money for investors. So revenue metrics are more important. And so there's more resources that go to these. And this is general knowledge, I believe. I wouldn't say it's general knowledge, but I would say it's general in the industry. And there's probably information already out there about this kind of stuff. So I don't have to worry is what I'm thinking about. But what I would argue is that, so what the manager said, it was a different problem, has nothing to do directly with this stuff. But we were working on a privacy thing. They basically pointed to the idea that anything beyond a given level of privacy engineering, or engineering a system for privacy, anything beyond that is over-engineering because you don't have to have that level of privacy. And now how I think about that is you're preparing for a future world with privacy, and you don't know what that world is going to be like. So from a business perspective, you're just going for this half or this quarter or this year in terms of your performance, or maybe like the next 3 years. Ideally, the better the employee, the longer they think out, but that doesn't always happen, especially at a lot of tech companies I know. But it's not like everyone is. There's different ways to look at this, but the way that I see it from my perspective is this way. And so if you think that this information, it's like, what is the impact of this trade-off where you're optimizing for revenue at a higher level than something like privacy. And that's hard to measure, but I think as individual, because of this, basically because of AI centralization risk, it makes sense to over-engineer systems, even if we don't have to, because that's just like added security on top of an unknown future. And I think because the world is evolving at a faster rate because of technology, I think that some things about privacy and stuff like that will be underrated. And you don't have to take my word for it. Just like go look up, ask ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, do the research or whatever. Again, this is a brain dump. So, but I think everyone should know, oh yeah, so that's just like, I guess a two kind of topics and how it relates to the architecture that I've described before / protocol, how that applies in tech industry from my perspective, not affiliated with anything else. This is, again, just a brain dump. And again, disclaimer, all this stuff could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, this is stuff that I have wanted to talk about. So I have 1 more minute. The reason I think it's just, even if this is like, if it doesn't even make sense at all, I like that. And I think that it's funny that I can do that. And I like that. And okay, another thing, this is a brain dump. This is a completely different topic. But one thing I was thinking about was like, I have an aversion to, I think a lot of people do, but I think I have some kind of aversion to predictability. And so when things get too predictable, like the algorithm or whatever, I just go a different route. And I think that is why I'm doing this on the channel again. And the more artistic it is, the more I actually like doing it, even if it's so confusing that no one would ever get it, or so like different. So that's how I feel right now. Okay, that's 10 minutes, but I wanted to yeah, that's good. All right, dude, okay, I want to make another beat. Also, I got some stuff to paint on. So the reason why I wanted to try this, I want to start painting stuff while I'm doing the video. So that way, and I just wanted to try it with the whiteboard first, so I would have a good prediction about what the painting would be like if I did that. Okay, dude, this is crazy again.